here is the Writer's Almanac for Friday. It's the 16th of July, 2021. Today is the birthday of the black journalist Ida B. Wells, born into slavery in 1862 in Holly Springs, Mississippi. When she was 16, her parents and infant brother died in a yellow fever epidemic, leaving Wells to raise her 6 younger siblings herself, and to support them, she lied about her age so she could get a job as a teacher. When she was 22, she was riding a train, which back then was segregated, and she refused to move to a Negro car. She had bought a first-class ticket, and she intended to stay there, and she was forcibly removed, and she sued the railroad, winning a $500 settlement in circuit court. The Tennessee Supreme Court overturned the decision, but nonetheless, it was a victory back in the 1880s, long before the Civil Rights Movement. Ida Wells campaigned for women's suffrage and racial equality, and she became a journalist, writing investigative stories about lynching, the violence of white mobs against blacks. She wrote about the poor conditions of a black school she taught at in Memphis, and the school fired her. She wrote for a newspaper in Memphis called The Free Speech, which she co-owned, and a group of angry whites responded by destroying the building, and she was forced to leave town. Ida Wells said, "I am only a mouthpiece through which to tell the story of lynching, and I have told it so often that I know it by heart. I do not have to embellish. It makes its own way." It's the birthday of St. Clare of Assisi, 1194, who came from a wealthy family but was deeply affected by the preaching of the young Francis of Assisi, made her vows of poverty, joined a group of Benedictine nuns, and eventually found her own order, the Order of St. Clare, who came to be called the Poor Clares. The Catcher in the Rye was published on this date, 1951, by J.D. Salinger, about the 16-year-old prep school boy, Holden Caulfield, fed up with all the phonies, which became a bestseller almost immediately, number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list after 2 weeks, despite a disparaging review, and which has sold more than 65 million copies. The book, which begins, "If you really want to hear about it, the first thing you probably want to know is where I was born and what my lousy childhood was like and how my parents were occupied and all before they had me and all that David Copperfield kind of crap, but I don't feel like going into it if you want to know the truth." Here's a poem for today by Robert Graves entitled Whole Love. Every choice is always the wrong choice. Every vote cast is always cast away. How can truth hover between alternatives? Then love me more than dearly, love me wholly, love me with no weighing of circumstance, as I am pledged in honor to love you, with no weakness, with no speculation on what might happen should you and I prove less than bringers to be of our own certainty. Neither was born by hazard, each foreknew the extreme possession we are grown into. Robert Graves' poem, Whole Love. That's the Writer's Almanac for Friday, July the 16th. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.